Hi all, welcome back to Tired Format and welcome to, well, my car, which is new to the channel but not new to me. I thought I'd keep the car for a bit of time and then do like a living with, like I did with my Golf GTI, because I think that's kind of more of interest to people, like doing a review of the car. There's millions of reviews of supercharged Elizas out there, but there's not many telling you how to live with it, and there's definitely not many telling you what it's like to live with one if you're tall like myself. I wanted a Elise for years and I kept putting it off because I was worried I wouldn't fit in it or it'd be uncomfortable or unusable. So now I've had it for around 6 months ish. I think I've got a good idea what it's like to live with all the other stuff that goes with that, and I thought I'd just impart my wisdom to you. So yeah, start off with, what the hell is this? So this is a 2015 Lotus Elise 20th anniversary. So 2015, obviously 20th anniversary of these cars, so they brought out this limited edition that came in a certain amount of colours, some trim bits and everything like that, and some updates over the year's previous model. It's actually basically a club racer, which is a spec that they used to have before, like the stripped out, more, I don't know, focus spec of supercharged on these. So due to the unique way that the audio decided not to record on this one, I'm just going to do a voiceover. So yeah, this is a Series 3 Elise, it's the supercharged variant, and as I say, it's the 20th anniversary, which is basically a trim level that is based on the Club Racer that came a year before it. In this solar yellow colour, there was a few other little colours that you could get, it was kind of limited. You've also got things like 20 written in the seats. There should be a blanking panel where the radio is, it says 20, but someone's put a radio back in here. There should also be 20 on the sides here, but I haven't got that for reasons I don't quite know. And then on the back here, there's a badge that just says Elise 20. So yeah, it's just little bits and bobs. Oh, and there's also the roll hoop and the little back bit around the lights, which I think I point to any second now. And that is basically matte black on this, as well as the wheels and the undercarriage bits and the diffuser. So little bits and bobs. It's basically just like a commemorative edition, but in reality, it's just a club racer with updates to that model year. So yeah, if everyone's wondering what the model's about and what this particular car is, there you go. So I guess one of the fair questions would be, why the hell have I bought an Elise, especially if I'm tall and it's a little car? I've kind of always wanted one. Is that not good enough reason? There's a few compromises to be made when you own an Elise, and the number one is practicality. Number two is probably comfort. Although you might be surprised to hear that a 6'4" person like myself can drive this pretty comfortably, and I can get in and out. It's not easy, but it's not too bad either, really. I mean, a lot of people probably overhype it. If you've got creaky knees, hips, a bit overweight, you might struggle. I mean, I'm a bit overweight, but still, you know what I mean. But overall, it ain't that bad. So every middle-aged man who comes up to me in car parks and goes, "It's not very practical, how would you get in and out of that?" F off. Challenge one, getting in. Well, not much of a challenge at the moment because the roof's off, so it makes falling in quite easy, actually. However, that's not always the case. When the roof's on, it's obviously a lot more difficult to get in. You do get used to it though, honestly. And as I say, I'm about 6'4", I think 34-inch leg or something like that. I don't know, I'm rubbish with clothes sizes. But I fit. And one of the reasons I fit is someone previous to me has fitted a wheel spacer, which makes a huge difference, actually. I was surprised at how much difference that makes, just having the wheel come towards you, but it means that I can have it in fifth and my knee is not wedged in between the steering wheel and the gear lever, whereas in a lot of Elises, I find that fifth and sixth, my knee ends up sort of squished and blocking the wheel, which is suboptimal, really. Anyway, enough chit-chat, we should probably get going, shouldn't we? Right then, apologies in advance for audio issues. The roof's down, it's a sunny day, it's not going to last long because it's England, so yeah. Oh yes. So, another downside to this car, I look like a total Burke when I'm driving it. Luckily I don't give a shit, but one thing to consider, As I've said, there's a steering wheel spacer on this, and it does make sitting in here a lot more comfortable. It makes the whole experience so much better. And even though I'm a lanky sod, it doesn't feel too uncomfortable at all. So, 220 horsepower. That's not a lot of horsepowers, but equally, I think this thing weighs about 900 kilos, or at least that's the weight they quote. So it goes quite far. No power steering. It does have traction control and a sport mode in this car. I think the sport mode was new for this year model, for the 20th anniversary, and then all the cars going forward. Does have ABS as well, so in Lotus terms, it's luxurious. I've even got leather seats and electric windows. And in this case, someone's fitted a radio, although as standard it came with a blanking plate. They've also upgraded the speakers. I don't know why, because it's bloody useless. Can't hear a thing. Who cares? I think the first thing you notice when you're driving a Leas on the road is just how small it really is. I mean, you notice that walking up to it, sure, but on a road like this where it gets very narrow and people in Qashqais you can't move over coming at you in my other car can be really annoying because it keeps slowing down and moving over, and not in this, it just slips through the little gap. Doesn't care. I think that was Harry. Anyway, it's not slow. It really isn't slow. 220 horsepower, not a lot, I know, but it's 900 kilos or something along around that, probably a bit more with fuel and me in it and everything. And it just goes. I mean, the acceleration's pretty good. I'll put the figures up on the screen now. I know you can barely hear a thing I'm saying probably, but I'm on one of my favourite roads and there's nothing in front of me, so sorry about that. 720 convertible and a learner driver. Wow, this person really doesn't like me. I think they swore at me. Oh, and it has quite a funny rev limiter in this as well. Got my camera bag rolling around next to me. Yeah, with the roof in the boot, there's not much room for anything else. I probably could squish this in there. Maybe I should have, but sod it. Oh, I love this thing. If you haven't already noticed, I love this thing. It just loves having its head kicked in. It's the only way I can describe it. It loves having its head kicked in. Since owning it, I've only managed to do one track day, which is a bit criminal, but that was Alton Park, never been there before. Really love the track and I love the car. I mean, one of the reasons I got this is I do keep buying these cars and thinking I'll do more track days, I'll get a track car, I'll do more track days, and I just don't, because normally I'm compromising something. Either the car is a compromise between a daily and a track toy, or the track toy is so much of a track toy that it needs a trailer, or it's a pain to drive on the road and I can't enjoy it. This has been really good at sort of bridging that gap there. And also, one thing I love about this car is I did a full track day at Alton Park. You know, drove up north of Manchester, drove back with noise cancelling headphones on, obviously. Did the track day, doesn't need any pads, doesn't need discs, doesn't need tyres, it just so light on its feet, it just doesn't use any sort of consumables. Having said that, I've got Anglesey coming up, and I know that that's got a bit of a reputation for its service, for its track surface being basically sandpaper, so we'll see. But one of the villages near me now, and I've got the roof down and I'm talking to myself. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Also, this car, if you like that sort of thing, gets some attention. I'm not massively comfortable having a car that gets attention. I don't know. So that sounds ironic because I'm sitting here driving it through a village while recording and all this other stuff. In case you're wondering, yes, this car does have some sort of aftermarket exhaust. No, I don't know what it is. Sorry, not a clue. And what was I saying? Yes, attention, or, you know, if you're a bit of a poser and like driving around and people looking and pointing and saying things, then it's actually a surprisingly cheap alternative to a Ferrari in that case. I think most people see it as exotic because it's little and it's bright yellow and mid-engined, and maybe that's what it is. I found that kids love it quite a lot. So if you're looking for a new car, Gary Glitter, I think the overall sort of opinion of it is pretty positive. People just point and laugh at me, but the car itself, I think they like it. I think people like it. It's hard not to like. I mean, it's kind of inoffensive in a way. Yes, it's a bright yellow sports car, but it's very little and dainty, and it has small features and quite cute buggy features to it. So I think most people like it because of that as well. It's not a big shouty Ferrari. It's small and happy. Dutch person liked it then. So why an Elise as well? I mean, I looked at I made a little Instagram where I post one picture of every car I've owned, purely for me to keep track the things I've had and how many cars I've had. And it's over 50 now. But I've never had anything like, I've had MX-5s and things like that, but I have always wanted one of these. When I was a little kid and the S1 came out, I was obsessed. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And also I got to sit in one, which when you're a little kid, getting to sit in something like this is just like the coolest shit ever. So I got to sit in one, and then from then on I was just like, oh, Elises, they're so cool. And then they were in Gran Turismo 2 as well, which if you're my age, that's just like holy grail of, you know, cars. Just, oh my god, it was Gran Turismo 2, and it was like quite a big car in there because it was a new sports car at the time, and it was, yeah. And then I remember going to the British Motor Show where the S2 came out, still a kid obviously, and I was like, wow, look at this thing, they've made it look really cool and futuristic and blah blah blah. But I've never owned one. I've had several chances to, and I've always chickened out. Those two people just punched each other because I'm in a yellow car. Yeah, I've always chickened out, and I think part of that is sort of the worry I wouldn't fit, or I'd fit badly, or I wouldn't use it, and all these sort of things. You know, it's not a practical car, as we've already gathered. But actually, as I sort of alluded to before, other than being a track car that's pretty good on consumables, fun on track, all that, it's just quite a nice car to take to the pub and whiz around back roads and things like that, which is good because that makes it popular with my fiance. That's a big thing. The other half being, you know, happy with your vehicle means that you can keep that vehicle for longer and you get less side eyes when you talk about the vehicle. Take note, people. But yeah, the whole practicality thing also, me fitting in it. I've sat in Elises and Exiges and things before and just been a bit gutted because usually the gear lever and the steering wheel are closer together in terms of this is closer forward, and it means that my knee gets jammed in there and it makes it almost impossible to drive comfortably. But with the space that this car's got, it's not an issue. It actually works really well. I'm surprised because it's only about an inch, half an inch, not much, but it seems to make all the difference because I'm really comfortable in this car, and there's quite a lot of places to put your feet and everything. In fact, you can just reach over and put your legs on the other passenger side car and stretch out. It's really quite funny. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to go wrong in this car as well. I think a lot of people love the height of comedy for people are head gaskets on Rover engines and Range Rover Sports being stolen, and on these it's lots of trouble, usually serious, but what is there to go wrong? It is aluminium, glass fibre, and it's got a Toyota engine. I mean, it's pretty good. Having said that, there are a few faults I've found with the car since owning it. The aircon's never worked. The dealer was promising to fix that, and they were getting parts, and I was waiting months for the car when I bought it, so I ended up just taking the car, which means, of course, it never got fixed. The parts never arrived. They never got in touch with me. Bit annoying, but there you go. The roof comes off, so this is my aircon. Things do like to rattle themselves loose. The rear diffuser is a good example. That's missing a few bolts. They've just come off. I've had to tighten that up. The gear knob here, the actual knob on the end, I had to tighten up yesterday. And this center console I've had to tighten up once as well. But it's all Allen keys, it's all just nuts and bolts. It's a very simple car. And I actually had it up in the air for the first time recently because the brake pads were rattling at low speed, especially after a bit of a run. And the problem is you've got aluminium calipers, very lightweight calipers, and the pads themselves, the way everything thermally expands and contracts means that the pads rattle around. So what Lotus do is they put like a sticker in there to buffer it, to stop it rattling. And Elise Parts do an upgraded version of that. My sticker was just a bit of rubber and it had worn from new. It had never been done. So I just put that in there and that's completely fixed it. What else? Oh, this has had track pads on it, Pagid ones. I think RS129 or something. I'll flash the name up. From cold, they are non-existent. So you do have to get some heat in them, especially if right now I'm stuck behind a Kia, but if I was to accelerate past and do some speedy driving, which I won't because they're resurfacing this road, sometimes you can be a bit surprised coming into a bend and find your brakes need a bit more warming up. The exhaust on this is a bit noisy. I like it personally. I don't think it's the standard exhaust. I've heard a couple of standard supercharged cars and they're quite quiet and you can hear the whine a lot more. On this car it's all exhaust, which again I like, but some people might not. So maybe, you know, check what exhaust you've got. I don't know what exhaust I've got actually. If anyone knows, comment down below. I'm going to sneeze again. This is the other problem with this car. I've bloody hay fever. Why have I got a convertible? What's a knob? Another thing is this steering wheel. I hate this Lotus steering wheel. I actually had a quick release fitted of a cheap, well, I had an old OMP laying around. It's a bit grubby, so I didn't really want it in here, but I tried it out and I really liked it. Not only could I bring the steering wheel closer if I wanted to, but the quick release made getting in and out was a bit easier. But the main reason I hate this steering wheel is the horn. It's in the leather. So sometimes when you're holding onto the wheel and you brake a bit hard, you inadvertently blare the horn out, which is, you know, just announce to everyone you're on your way. So just little things really, little niggles, but overall these cars get a bad rep for being impossible to live with and impractical, and oh, you need a hermetically sealed garage with 24/7 security to look after them. You don't. I mean, I've been leaving this on my driveway. I drove it through winter and it was fine. It gets really warm in here quickly because it's such a tiny cabin and a little engine that warms up quickly. So it's actually really nice in the winter. Out of all the cars I've owned, I think this one gives me more smiles than even some of the real boxes I've had fun with. This thing, there's something about driving it, it just feels special, which is a tick for me. I like a car that has a bit of occasion about it when you get in and drive it. But equally, it's so light and so playful. And you know, they get a bit of a reputation for being snappy and a bit scary, but this thing, I can hang the tail out on track and all this, and it doesn't scare me at all. It's probably a bad thing. I'll probably kill myself soon enough in it, but you know what I mean? It ain't scary. Now, again, I bought this back in probably this time last year, but I didn't actually receive it for another few months. Or at least I was looking this time last year and bought it. And it wasn't cheap. It was about 38 grand, which a lot of people do, but a lot of people are surprised by that. And it's kind of like two different people look at this car. And car guys will be like, what? I thought Elises were all 20 grand, 15 grand. Well, they're not, sadly. Even the old ones aren't these days. And there's the other people who aren't really car people, who think it's some sort of exotic and therefore it's £100,000. Which, yeah, no, that's hard to believe. But I think for the cash, it was probably quite a good buy. Sorry. I think for the cash, and the other cars I was looking at, I wanted a car that was less than 10 years old, the roof came off for summer, it'd be fun to drive, and it'd just be something different. And unfortunately, Boxsters, I've had a Boxster, great car, but I've been there and done that, and a lot of the Boxsters under 10 years old at this price range are a bit meh. You know, they'd either had a really boring spec or PDK or something like that. I did look at weird stuff like Maserati Grand Cabrios and Aston Martin V8 Vantages and things like that, but once you go under 10 years old, what is this person doing? You daft. Sorry. So I was following that person doing 35 and a 60 for the last 20 minutes and then proceeded not to use the slip road to turn off, so I had to wait and slow right down for them to turn out. If that thing's still recording, you probably saw it. Or maybe you didn't, I don't know. Yeah, I was sort of looking around this price thing. In fact, I was looking more like 50 grand, and there were some Exiges and there were some Cup 250s, but I thought, for a lot less dosh, I could get pretty much the same car. A little less extreme, a little more usable in terms of Elises at least. And the roof on this is fabric, and it takes seconds to take off and put back on. You literally unclip both sides, roll it up, and I just shove it in the boot. There is a bag for it, but I never bother. It takes longer to put it in the bag than it does to put the roof off and on again, so I just throw it in the boot. And the Cups were interesting, the Cup 250s, but again, they were a fixed roof car that you used Allen bolts to get off the roof, and it becomes squeaky and all this. And maybe they hold their value better, I don't know, but as an overall package, I love the colour on this and the spec. It was for sale. It had only had 12,000 miles on it. Now it's 16. Whoops. So this one kind of worked out for me in the end. It was just sort of, it ticked all the boxes, and everything else out there didn't really tick it as well. So that's how I ended up with this. Anyway, I'm coming into Woodstock now on the way home, so I probably should do a little summary. So, first question. As a tall person, can you live with a Lotus Elise comfortably and enjoy it? Absolutely. I will caveat that with go to a dealer, go sit in a few of them. If you can find one that's got the spacer on the wheel or a quick release wheel, I'd really recommend looking at that as well, because that makes such a big difference to getting in and out of the car and being comfortable with my legs and everything. But should you buy one is the other question, I guess. It's quite busy today in Woodstock. All the solar powered people out. Where were you in the pubs when it was dark and cold, eh? Come out in the sun and clog my pobs up. Bastard. That's a man in a dress. Okay, right, I'm back to my summary. The car itself, I adore. I honestly don't think there's any sports car that compares to most Lotuses, but the Elise itself, they don't make it anymore. It feels special to be in. You can have two people go to the pub and have fun. You can go to a track day and have fun. But equally, if you need to just drive it somewhere, it's not too uncomfortable. I mean, this one, because of the noise, a bit drony and the road noise is a bit loud. Noise cancelling headphones are a game changer though. But yeah, okay, the seat's fairly hard. You're sitting quite low down and in this little cabin, but because they because the car's so light in its feet, they didn't have to tune it to be so hard. So actually, it's surprisingly comfortable. The engine, absolute peach of an engine, and sticking a supercharger on it has only made it more exciting. So yeah, I mean, what? Maybe I'm biased because it's my car and I love it, but why the hell don't more people buy these things? I mean, compared to a Porsche, it just, you know, compared to a Boxster or something, it feels way more special. And it's cheaper. And it's more fun to drive. There, I said it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little living with thing. I hope that if you're watching this, it maybe gave you more encouragement to actually go to a dealership or whatever and start looking at these cars seriously and realizing that, yeah, their small form factor and the image of getting in and out is a bit funky, but actually they're not that bad to live with, and yeah, I'd highly recommend them. So thanks for watching. As ever, do the like and subscribe thing, it really helps me out, and comment down below, what do you think of Elises? Do you think they're stupid little cars for idiots, or do you agree with what I'm saying? Are you now going to go buy one because of me? That's a terrifying thought. Christ. Oh yeah, thanks for watching, etc. Catch you on the next one. Oh, sod it, I'm going down the dual carriageway.